Hi there. It is Monday, May 31st, Memorial Day, 2021, and this is the week 21 Return to Creativity update. Oh my God, the cars are so much louder than I thought they would be today. I don't know why I didn't think people would just be out tooling around. So, how's your week been? You know, we had that full moon midweek, and then we have just entered Mercury Retrograde now, so we were kind of in shadow zone for that. So if your previous week was a little rocky, that's not necessarily unexpected. Of course, you know, everybody kind of gets antsy about Mercury retrograde, and don't get me wrong, I take it as a cautionary not really a cautionary tale, but just kind of like a warning to be more aware and stuff. I got married smack dab in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, and when I realized that the date we'd picked 2 years prior was going to fall in the midst of a Mercury retrograde, I'm like, oh well. So, you know, it's not like, and yeah, okay, we had some things go so sillily wrong, but I don't know, people who were there can attest that was the calmest I've ever been. So, pay attention, you know, take a breath before you react, maybe. But, you know, it's not the worst time in the world. It's just one of those times where emotions are a little closer to the surface, and we have to be careful what we say and how we react, because, you know, other people might not understand that, you know, or might forget that we're all human and we all make mistakes. And, you know, what's that thing? If you have the choice to assume somebody meant something bad by it or not, let's presume that they didn't. Anyway, so for my week, oh, it was a busy one, of course, always. Work kept me very busy. I finished the interior pages for the coloring book. All 35 interior pages, the coloring pages themselves, are done. Of course, you know, I think I mentioned last week, I wasn't even 100% sure what I was going to name the coloring book or what the cover was going to be. I figured that out this week. So, and I drew the cover illustration. I thought I was going to use just, you know, take one of the interior illustrations and use it as the cover, but I ended up coming up with another idea that I thought I could mash together, but no. So I ended up drawing a whole new one, which is fine. That's fine. No, really, it is. I mean, this isn't that meme with the Dougie and the cup of coffee surrounded by fire. No. It really was fine, because then it's just one more thing I get to put in the book. Yeah, so there's that. So now I am to the layout stage. And actually to kind of help, because even though, yes, I've done book layout before, I've done magazine layouts, it's been a little while, and it was with a different program. I mean, 2 different programs. And I just decided, rather than reinvent the wheel, I was going to be smart, because the Affinity, the company that created the software I'm using, they actually have these big old workbooks for each of their products. So I got the Affinity Publisher Workbook, because while a lot of it is what I remember from previous programs I used, there I've noticed, just using the designer software, which is the vector art, there are functions that I'm not 100% about, and there are things that I know I'm not using that might be really helpful. So yeah, I decided it was worth it to get the workbook to kind of flip through, and so I've been studying that a little bit this week since it came in. But yeah, so we're getting real close. We're getting closer. The garden is doing wonderful. Most Most of the plants that I transplanted are thriving wonderfully. We lost one squash plant to, I don't know, a raccoon or something. And then one other one on the opposite side, it was looking kind of iffy, and then it looked like it might come back. I'm still not sure. Most of the seeds that I planted at the same time, you know, the herbs and then a couple of other, like, I'm finally seeing some little cucumbers start to break ground, and you know, their first leaves, and cayenne peppers. Planted some of those just for, you know, just to see, and yeah, they're starting to come up. Some herbs are not showing up yet, and you know, that's just the way it was going to go. I knew that not everything was going to thrive, but overall, I'm really happy. Also, I was checking out my fruit trees that I bought, and while I was completely not expecting anything of them until we get them in the ground and probably another year goes by, my olive tree already has some teensy tiny olives on it, which just floors me. And then the lemon tree also has like 2 or 3 clusters of blossoms. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I might actually, you know, get some lemons. So that's really cool. But yeah, oh gosh, I love going out there at the end of each day when I get home and watering the plants and talking to them. Yes, I talk to my plants, and the little, you know, just looking at what has changed day to day to day. Just, God, it makes me so happy. It really does. Ooh, buzzy thing, small buzzy thing, just a fly. Yeah. Let's see. Another reason why I am outside on the front porch, I actually thought about moving this table and chairs that we've got out here on the patio, or the front porch, their patio table and chairs, out to the backyard, and I was going to do that for this weekend and just leave them out there and start filming out there. One of the side neighbors is moving, and Duncan has been going out there and barking at them a bunch, so I'm like, okay, that'll be too noisy. Cue the cars. But anyway, eventually. And then the other thing that's going on is revamping my workspace in the house here. And I actually lost this for like a good 3 minutes at least. Right before I started filming. I like set it down in the office and lost it, but the office is in it's in its transitional state. But anyway, this is my little notes and like diagram of how I figured out I was going to update the room. Because on the one hand, you know, there's the one train of thought is you pull everything out, install the new work surface, and then load things back in. Y'all, that's a lot of stuff. I don't want to move all that, not at once. No. So I came up with this idea that I'm like, well, you know, if I move, you know, like say if I move the thing that's over here and I twist it 90 degrees, and then I'll make space so that I can move this thing up into here, and I can move this into here, and you know, kind of, it's like that game. I know you can find versions of it like online and stuff, different like little, I don't know if they count as logic puzzles or what. It's not a Rubik's Cube. I don't even know what they're called. When I was a girl, and still lived with my grandmother, so this would have been age 6 and under, there was a neighbor, an elderly couple, or an older, I don't know that they were actually elderly, but they were older, and I think their children were grown, and they had this really sunny library, and they would let me come over. I don't even know. I don't know if Mom asked them to watch me while she had to go run errands. I don't know how this started. I don't know. But anyway, I would go over there and just hang out in their library. And they had this little puzzle, and it was about yay big. It was a square, and it had those tiles in it, and they were numbered, and there was one open space, and you had to get all the tiles in order. So you had to, you know, move one to move another to, you know, and it was all these like stair step, you know, things to get things in the right spot. And I don't know what that little game or that puzzle is called, but that's basically what I'm doing in my office, just so that I don't have to do everything at once. And in some respects, it sounds like more work, and it might be, but it's also less disruptive over time, and it allows me to do things in smaller chunks, which for my brain, I have learned, is easier to handle, because the idea of unloading that entire room, oh my goodness, do you know how much stuff is in there? I mean, it's a packed room to begin with, but when you start taking things off shelves, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 wire shelving units, all full. I have a full-size bookcase that I've already moved, that was all full. I have 2 smaller, I have different organizational units. I've got so much stuff in there, so much stuff. And yeah, it's a little overwhelming. It is. So doing it this way helps me. May not work for everybody, but this little, log jam of a shift this, then shift that, and then move this, it allows me to not feel overwhelmed by the process. And it came in really handy when on, I guess, Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to work on the book, because I needed to do the cover. And I sat there and I stared at my computer, and I just couldn't get started. And rather than sit there and force my way through it, because I did not have to sit there and force my way through it, I had options, I decided to get up and work on the room. So that's when I shifted one of the bookcases. So yeah, it works for me. But it also means that this process is going to take time, especially when it gets to the part where I have to clean out the closet. That is step 6. And yes, I could leave that alone because, but some of the stuff that I've pulled off of other shelves needs to go in there, and other stuff needs to be integrated into the other shelves, ultimately. So, and a lot of that stuff just needs to be tossed or donated or whatever. So, it's a twofold process. But that's the other reason why I'm not really filming in the home office, is because it's chaos. Yeah. It's just kind of all over the place right now. So, and it is pretty outside. It is. I know the light keeps shifting, so I apologize if, I'm going in and out of shadows or something, but such is life right now. But yeah. That's me. So this coming week, well, it'll be a 4-day week, so it'll be extra busy, end of the month, beginning of a new month. Gonna be long days. Gonna probably be 4 10-hour days at the very least. Might even have to bring some work home next week, or on the evenings or something. But the goal is, of course, to start the layout. Last night I went on the KDP site, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, and downloaded the little calculator so I could figure out how big the cover file needed to be, the spine and everything with the number of pages. So I am working towards it. Now that I have those dimensions and I know what the gutter needs to be on the inside, I can start actually laying out the book. Once I get in the groove, it may not take very long, but I just have to get there. I have to get everything set up right the first time. And yeah, so that's the big goal this week. Maybe move the next piece of furniture. And yeah, go from there. That's what we're doing. All right, I wish you a good week to come. Do something good for yourself. do some self-care, and I don't just mean the bubble baths or pedicures or manicures, although I plan on doing that too, because that is part of self-care, but also, you know, drink some water, feed yourself, rest when you need to, eliminate stress where you can. You know, self-care isn't about the fluffy stuff, isn't all about the fluffy stuff. Sometimes it's about the very practical. So whatever you need to do to take care of yourself over this week and the coming weeks, please do that. Make that a priority. And yes, I'm going to try and take my own advice. Somebody said, you know, there's no medal for not using paid time off. There's no medal for, you know, for people who work outside the home, or work from home. Visas, you know, there's no medal in never taking time off. There's no medal for running yourself into the ground. And there's no need to sacrifice yourself on the altar of someone else's goals that aren't your goals. And if the last year and a half has taught us anything, I think it's, for me, it's that how we spend our time, where we put our effort, how we live our lives counts, because it can be gone just like that. Yeah. Not to be maudlin. No, take care of you, because I'm glad you're in the world. I'm glad you're part of this little community we're building here. And I want to see you back. All right. Bye. Have a good one.